We will now have a look at creating a 3D room so we can then place some objects like text or other layers inside, then we can start animating them. Now we've got a floor here. What I'm going to do is to just go and create a new layer. So layer, new, solid. And I'm going to create the back wall. So I'll just call this back wall. And I'll make sure that this is the same size as the floor, which was the same size as the comp. Then I'll press OK. And you see that the wall doesn't actually get created in this 3D space. The wall is there, I can see, it's here as a layer, but it doesn't appear anywhere here. Now, in order for anything to appear in this view, in the 3D view, you first need to make that a 3D object. Unless you do that, you're not going to see that in 3D space. So let's convert this into a 3D layer so we can see this in this view. Now, just to make it easier to see what's going on, I'm going to make this a different color. So I'll just go to Layer, Solid Settings, and I'll just pick any random color here. So maybe just make this slightly more blue, like that. And this is what I meant earlier when I said that these arrows are really important. And let's say you want to position this wall, the back wall, properly, so it lines up with the back side of the floor. Now, what you don't want to do is to click and drag this manually, let's say here, because right now this seems like it actually lined up perfectly, maybe there. Well, it's not quite perfect, but it's almost perfect. But if I look at it from a different angle, look what happens if I press C on the keyboard to get my camera tool, and then C until I get to my orbit camera tool. Look what happens there. It was nowhere near perfect. It looked fine from one angle, so it looks fine from this angle here. And this is exactly why I mentioned in the previous tutorial that when you move stuff around, you need to make sure that you click on these arrows. So let me undo this. There. In order to move this up and down, backwards and forwards, you need to make sure that you click on these arrows and drag them up like that, or down, and then left and right, or back and forth like this. Now again, it's still a little bit tricky to see exactly how far this should go. Now to work out how far this should go back, you can just go to the top view, and let me zoom out. And I know this is the back side of the floor. I can then just push this backwards on the Z, around about there, and that's now going to line up with the back side of the floor. If I now go back to my custom view, and if I zoom in, you see that will line up, but the height doesn't line up. So I can switch back to my right view, and I can zoom out. I can then make the height line up as well, like that. Let me zoom in. So this is not quite perfect, but it's much better than what we had before. Let me go to my custom view, and if I zoom out, you see now if I get to my camera tool, I can orbit around, and that's lined up much better than it did before. But it still isn't quite perfect. If I push in with my Track Z camera tool, and then use my Track X and Y camera tool, I'm just pressing C to toggle between these tools, you can see there's a little bit of a gap here. Now I can make this perfect, but instead, we'll have a look at how to snap these to each other in the next tutorial. For now, let me show you one way of seeing all those different angles that we checked earlier in one place. Now, instead of going to custom view and then changing it to top, and then changing this to right and back and so on, instead of doing this one by one, right next to it, it says one view. I can change the one view to, let's say, two views horizontal, so I can see them side by side, and this is showing us the top view, and this is showing us the right view, and I can change those as well. I can select this, and then go to right, maybe make this front, then I can select the top view, and then maybe go here, and then change this to, let's say, the left view, and so on. Or I can go to the 4-up view. If I go to 4 views, I now see all 4 like this, and I can then customize this, so I can go to left, maybe this can be top, this can be bottom, and so on. So seeing all of these different views at the same time is going to be extremely useful, especially when we start working with cameras, lights, and 3D animations.